So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with me lately. As I mentioned on a post a while ago that I was trying to get diagnosed for being on the spectrum. But mainly because I've been experiencing a lot of depression and an inability to cope with a lot of stuff. And that's been a lifelong struggle. It's not really anything new. But I did want to talk to you a little bit about it today because I'm at one of my favorite places. It's the Bluff in Oregon City. And it's proven to be pretty useful with regard to meditation or just kind of getting somewhere to clear my mind. So we're going to go up there and we're going to talk. So most of my days are spent trying to decompress from the week before. Because if you've ever ridden my bus, you would know that I expend a lot of energy. I put it all out there. And I don't think that I understand the cost that it takes. I'm willing to sacrifice that amount of energy for who I am while I'm there. Because I draw on the energy of the people in my city and I surround them with the love and kindness that I can only give when I'm working. So it's a really fulfilling position, but it's something that takes a lot out of me. So I come home and I just shut the hell down. I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good partner. I'm not a good person. I'm half empty when I'm there. But then I go to work and it's all over again. I can turn myself on and it just doesn't go away. And I'm exhausted, mentally at the end. So I'm trying to find a middle ground right now when it comes to self-care and boundaries and expenditures of energy and how I present myself to my passengers. I found it's always been a really good defense mechanism to set the tone of your bus, and by doing that you have to generate a lot of positive energy, which requires a lot of internal energy. And so if you've depleted that by the time you get home, it's completely exhausting. And I find myself hiding a lot of the time. It's called a shutdown. My meltdowns are usually something that I do in the bathrooms, which is why if you've ever had to be my follower, you see me in the bathroom all the time and you're what is she doing there? And it's because I'm basically in the bathroom just fucking hyperventilating and freaking out. But it's what I do to keep myself going throughout the day, to keep that positive energy going. So it takes a lot out of me. But if you're in my personal life, and I haven't been reaching out to you, it's not because I'm avoiding you or I'm trying to punish you, which is another misconception. It's just that I'm starting to understand why I get in these periods of time where I'm completely depressed. Because you can only put out so much energy like that without actually crashing and burning. But I find so much fulfillment and I get so much joy from that I'm not willing to give that up. So I need to find a way to do self-care maintenance, working out. I used to work out a lot. And now I just go home and I drink beer and fall asleep, which is not good for, my liver, my heart, my body, overall health. Probably not mental health either. I'm sure that's definitely not good. But it's a coping strategy. I used to gamble. I go from one to the next and it's not good. I'm just grasping onto anything that helps. I've had a lot of passengers on the spectrum come to me and tell me look, you're definitely on the spectrum. I know you're looking for diagnosis, because I'm pretty open with my passengers. I keep it pretty honest. And that's probably why I mesh so well with them, because it's a place in my life where I can just be open to myself and they just somehow accept me, which is great. But I've had passengers on the spectrum tell me, look, keep fighting for that diagnosis. You need to go in and talk to someone. And I've just kind of been avoiding it. I've been trying to get lost in things and just distract myself. And that's not healthy. A lot of us do that in different ways. One way or another, we tend to avoid the things we need to do. So I'm going to really make it my priority this year to just turn that into a focus of mine and to understand this as something positive that I could work with that would help me in the long run. And so that also reminds me that I'm gonna start a channel on this whole process of being diagnosed as a female on the spectrum, because there's a lot of women out there that don't go diagnosed, mainly like Black women, that's the most underdiagnosed population because they're always seen as strong women and they have to be everything to everybody. And it's a really weird cultural thing that we've just put on them like it's fucking fair, and it's not. One of my passengers mentioned to me, who was a Black woman on the spectrum, she just got diagnosed at 37. And then I started looking at like relationship posts from women on the spectrum and the struggles that we have. Like, it's a really interesting place to be when you're not familiar with reading between the lines very well. So you get confused. Like, I look at a lot of my past relationships and I'm like, it's almost like I've developed this complex where I'm just afraid all the time that I'm like doing too much, or I'm like not communicating enough, or like maybe I read something wrong. Like, a lot of the times I take things very literal. That's a quirk of being on the spectrum anyway, but like, you find yourself like almost over investigating, trying to understand what's happening with this person, and then you kind of like overwhelm them, and then you completely detach and you leave them alone completely, and then they're totally baffled and they don't know what's happening, and then you just like move on, or they move on, and then it's lonely because it's a pattern and it continually happens. It also leaves you really vulnerable to people who are willing to take advantage of you, like sexually, emotionally, like financially. There's a lot of things that make you vulnerable to being prey to someone that just wants to to like, maybe they use you because initially they thought you were a certain way, and then you're not. It also comes into like people that are very possessive because they realize that you need them to communicate to the outside world, because that's real. Like, you get one person, and that's a common theme. Like, women on the spectrum, like, we use our looks and our ways to get through life as a means of survival, and that's not fully, like, that's not going to give you a rewarding relationship in any case. If you're just a regular person using your looks to get by, that doesn't work long term, and it starts to fall apart at some point, and you learn that you need to be a whole person on your own. And it's like trying to find your way through a maze. It's really fucking confusing, and that's where I'm at. I'm finding So, to my family, I'm sorry that I'm so distant. I'm trying my best. To my friends, I am really sorry that I'm not there for you right now. I know that a lot of you are going through some really hard shit, like a lot of us are. I mean, the energy's just, the veil's thinned, and like a lot of things are happening that people can't explain, and they're starting to wake up, and it's like fucking chaos out there. It's pure mayhem. And so I'm in the middle of my little meltdown over here, like, but I'm also trying to communicate like what's happening so that you don't think I'm leaving you. When you're on the spectrum, your feelings are so big. You care a lot about your people. Feel things really deeply, more so than others, and it's just a lot harder to get through trying to figure your shit out. So I'm closing because this is like the world's longest video. But I'm going to probably upload this as my first YouTube video about like my journey of trying to figure out, being on the spectrum as a woman, and getting diagnosed, and like what it's like to be in a position of service. So we're not going to pay attention to that right now. I don't know why my phone is, it's Mercury retrograde. I don't know. Don't judge me. But anyway, have a good day. Thanks for letting me rant. I have a lot of feelings. I have so many fucking feels. So thanks for listening.